Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael, and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Prudent Composer in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled AITA for waiting to divorce my wife until it was a good time for me. My ex-wife and I were married for over 20 years and have 2 children together. For most of my marriage, things were pretty balanced. We both shared housework and childcare responsibilities. We were each stay-at-home parents for over a year after each child, her with our son and me with our son and daughter. We always had agreements on how we wanted to divide work and generally had decent communication. This changed when my oldest went to high school. My wife got a new job that was both very demanding on her time and was 50% travel. This meant that I had to handle everything about 2 weeks per month, and when she was home, she wasn't holding up her side of the work with agreements. I did my best to be accommodating, and we worked through redistributing chores and housework a few times to make it fit her schedule better, but a lot of the work just kept falling to me. When the pandemic happened, things got worse, but I tried to just suck it up because I knew the lockdowns were temporary. Finally, when things opened back up, things continued to decline, and I asked to go to counseling. She missed a lot of our meetings and just didn't commit to it. At this point, I decided that I wanted a divorce. Unfortunately, it was a really tough time for the family. My son was getting ready for college in person after his freshman year being remote, which was both a financial and logistical challenge. At the same time, my daughter was also having some issues with depression, and I had become her main support person with my wife gone half the time. I made a decision to wait until my daughter was in a better mental state and our family was in a financially stable place before I filed for divorce. I did my best to continue to contribute and was essentially a single parent for 3 years. On a few occasions, I brought up counseling again, but my wife said things were good and wouldn't go. We pretty much didn't have sex for that period of time, and there was one summer where she essentially moved to North Carolina for 6 weeks for work. Last year, after my daughter started sophomore year of college and she was in a better place mentally and emotionally, I sold off some of my stock investments to create a trust for my kids to ensure college was covered. Then I filed for divorce. At first, my wife was really pissed, then she left to live in North Carolina again. When she came back 4 weeks later, she said she wanted to work through it, but I told her I had made the decision to leave years ago and wasn't interested. We eventually worked through mediation and got an amicable divorce. My kids live with me now and support me, but all of my in-laws and even most of my family outside of my sister think I'm an asshole. They believe I should have forced the issue more when we started counseling and either divorced or made it clearer to my wife how important counseling was to me. They've called me selfish, and some of my in-laws are refusing to interact with my kids when they're at my house. They also created a bit of a scene at my son's graduation in the spring, refusing to acknowledge me and demanding that my son choose to celebrate with them or me rather than having dinner together as a group. I encouraged my son to go with them and we had our own celebration later, but something happened at the dinner and my son has lived with me and been almost no contact with them since. I honestly feel like I did what was best for my kids, but now it feels like their mom's family is punishing them and I feel like a terrible father. I admit that it might have been more mature to address the issue head on with my relationship with my ex, but I felt that it was about more than just the two of us. Frankly, I feel like my lack of backbone years ago has made this divorce worse for my kids, but I also believe that if I had to do it again, I would still prioritize my kids over my own feelings and make the same choice. Am I the asshole? Edit. Holy crap, this blew up. First off, thanks to folks who provided feedback and comments. I really felt like shit, and both the positive and negative comments helped me get a little perspective on things. I have seen a few comments come up multiple times, so I figure it's worth answering them here before I move on. This is an account I created to ask an embarrassing dating question earlier this year. I created it because my main username is recognizable and I reused it now because I don't really want to air my issues associated with a known username. When my wife took the job, we were doing well financially, but the job still came with a big raise. I was making about $200K and the job she took gave her a raise from about $80K to $140K. That was enough that we could go from saving enough to have an emergency fund to having enough to pay for our kids' college outright. We both work in tech, but she works for a defense contractor and some of the work needs to be done on site, and only one of the offices related to her work is near where we live. When we originally discussed the job, her plan was to work in the high travel role for some time, then try to transfer to a lower travel role based near us. She got promoted a few times, and staying near our home wasn't an option unless she took a big pay and title cut. When we divorced, I was making about $280K and she made a little over $300K. Some folks were also confused by my stock comment. I'm a software engineer for a big tech company, and about 20 to 30% of my salary comes in the form of RSUs. I'm not an investor by any means, and I was just selling off stock mostly to cover my daughter's college and pay off what debt my son had. I know a lot of people are jumping right to an affair, but I really doubt it. In school, my wife and I were the obnoxious kids who reminded the teacher about homework, and she's a massive introvert. Her working late in a hotel room is much more likely than her sleeping around or keeping some secret family. There's a chance I'm wrong here, but I think this is more a situation where Reddit sometimes thinks all divorces end with infidelity. When I say we had an amicable divorce, I mean that more in the legal sense than the emotional sense. Uncontested might be a better term. The only significant asset we had that wasn't easily split was our home. My wife loves the house, and I frankly wanted something different, so she bought out my portion of it. Our kids are adults, so there's no custody. Our assets are mostly divisible, so no issues there. Our salaries were comparable, so there was no alimony. We each had a car. Overall, it was pretty straightforward to divide things evenly, and neither of us wanted to draw things out. We didn't end the marriage as friends by any means, but from a legal standpoint, it was amicable because we decided on arrangements with a mediator and only involved lawyers briefly to actually draft the final paperwork for the judge to sign off on. User Nightwish said, "NTA, you did your best for your kids." To this user-conscious survey said, how many women wait for the right time and save money for leaving or give it a couple of years for the kids and get applauded for lasting that long or for waiting for the right time? As a mom, I'm glad OP did what was best for the kids. Hell, he put his needs and wants second, and the kids know it and appreciate him for it. That's why they chose to live with him, and that's why the ex's family is pissy. They know he did the right thing, but the fact that the kids chose him shows that the most to the others. Them all. You're not the asshole, but all the ones acting out against you and your kids are assholes. Block them and move on. If they don't support you and your kids, they aren't worth your time or effort. User Throw It Away said, NTA, maybe you could have spoken up more, but that's between you and your wife, not them. And you did ask for counseling, you were vocal. As your wife, she should have listened to your pleas and she didn't, so I don't think needling her more would have worked. You did what was best for your kids. Your wife obviously didn't care during it, so she doesn't get to cry about it now. Your in-laws can go f themselves. They're the ones missing out on how great your kids are. Your kids aren't missing out on anything except bad behavior enabling assholes. User Eternal Sunshine said NTA, but really only your kids can answer this question for you. Maybe just point blank ask them, do you think I was wrong to wait until you guys were settled and I was ready, or was it the wrong decision for you? It sounds like you did everything you could and your kids will never forget. It's all done now, so forget about it and live life happily. That's what it was all for. To this OP said, I have checked with the kids and they agree with my decision now, but I also didn't really ask them until after the incident at my son's graduation. That's kind of why I'm doubting things. I waited until my in-laws were jerks before I asked my kids about it, but I can also see how my decisions have at least some impact on my in-laws' behavior. Frankly, it's a mess, and I should probably be seeing a therapist rather than talking to Reddit, but sometimes talking to strangers on the internet feels safer. Update. Things are going much better overall since the post. I received a lot of support, but also a lot of criticism, which I took to heart. I have been putting in some work to mend fences and help get things to a more reasonable state. I don't expect my ex or her family to be friends with me, but I at least want to be on good terms. My relationship with my parents and family is much better, and this Christmas was pretty much back to normal. My family is very conservative, especially when it comes to marriage, but they finally understand how bad it had become and have reluctantly accepted it. My relationship with my ex, and more importantly, her relationship with our kids, has also improved. She has apparently been going to therapy on her own, and while she hasn't gone into details, she does seem to be a lot less angry about what happened. We decided to have Thanksgiving together so we could all talk through things with the kids. It was a bit messy and there were a lot of tears, but we also reached a place where we all understand each other a bit more. We all agree that I shouldn't have waited so long to go through with the divorce, but my ex and kids also say they understand why I did it. My ex-wife and I even had a conversation about dating, which was weird but surprisingly kind of nice. My ex-in-laws still think I'm a horrible person and most refuse to talk to me, but they have started treating my kids well. My kids went to their grandparents' place for Christmas Eve and told me it went okay. We talked about it on Christmas, and while they didn't give many details, they did say they plan to do something on New Year's Eve with my ex and the in-laws, so I'm happy about that. Sorry this isn't a juicy update with anything crazy, but I was bored during the holiday downtime and thought I would log in and post some details. One thing I've learned from this, and I hope others learn too, is that even if your heart's in the right place, it's probably better to divorce when the marriage is over rather than putting up a facade for years. I don't regret getting a divorce, but I do wish I hadn't waited 3 years when I knew it was over. This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "Should I go for it with my brother's GF if she's giving me all the signs?" This is a throwaway account. I will refer to my brother as C and his girlfriend as S. This is so messy. I am pretty close with my brother, but I honestly feel he doesn't deserve his girlfriend. So my brother and his girlfriend have come to stay with our grandma for a week while they have time off. They have been here for 5 days and won't leave for 3 more, and it's killing me. My little brother is not the best looking in the family. He's just not. Since he started seeing S, he's gone to the gym, bulked up a bit, and changed his hair and eating habits. Not because she forced him, she loved him even when he was chubby. He said he wanted to start working out and eating better to get to the same level of attractiveness as her. My best friend and I both agreed beforehand that S is very good looking, just from her pictures with my brother on social media and stuff. S and C came to visit my grandmother, and I was there because I'm currently living with her. Not only is she ridiculously hot, but she's funny and smart too. She's pre-med and is taking a lot of hard classes that C says she's breezing through. She is the world's easiest person to talk to. The first night she came to visit, she was quiet since it was her first time meeting extended family. The next day, C had a migraine and she wanted to stay home with him to take care of him, but I convinced her to go to the mall with me, and C encouraged her to go as well. We spent the day at the mall together. We played with puppies at a store, shopped a bit, and got lunch. I don't think I've ever gotten along with someone as well as I've gotten along with S. She is beautiful, witty, and basically my ideal partner. I have quickly developed strong feelings for her. It gets really messy from here. C was showing me some memes on his phone and accidentally swiped by a nude of hers. He thought I wasn't looking at his phone, but he did manage to see it. I know this is really bad, but when he got up to go to the bathroom, I unlocked his phone and went to look at it. I couldn't help myself. I've already mentioned that I think she's hot, so I won't go into detail about how I felt about the picture because it's probably obvious. I felt so guilty afterward. After this incident, I think people started noticing that I was becoming uncomfortable around her. My brother, my mom, and my grandma asked me about it. Eventually, S asked me if she had done anything to offend me, and I said no. I came to my senses and stopped acting like a jerk. I asked if she wanted to go to the grocery store with me, and she said sure. I thought it would just be the two of us, but C tagged along as well. We went to the grocery store together, then drove into the city in the afternoon, which is an hour from where we live. C fell asleep in the car, leaving S and me talking together. She ended up climbing from the back seat to the front to talk to me. We chatted and joked the whole way into the city, and I just knew there was something there. I did something stupid. I told her that I wished we'd met in high school, and she replied that she thinks we would have been best friends. However, once we reached the city, she was back being lovey-dovey with C. It sucked because I wanted to hold her hand so badly. They seemed to feel bad for me because yesterday was Valentine's Day and I don't have a girlfriend. They didn't kiss or anything, they just looked at each other like they were in love. My questions are as follows. I know she can tell that we have a good connection, so should I go for it? I really want to tell her my feelings this evening. What's the best way to do that? Thanks. User Whoopity Duda said, "You're a creep and need to back off. You do not ever look at someone's nudes without permission. She's your brother's girlfriend and she hasn't said anything about liking you as anything more than a friend. I dare you to tell her and your brother that you went through his phone to find that nude pic of her." User Mega Anon said, "It literally doesn't sound like she's flirting with you. It just sounds like she enjoys the company of her boyfriend's brother and gets along with the family. It also seems that due to the fact that you're the boyfriend's brother, she may naturally feel more comfortable around you because she doesn't have to worry about you hitting on her. This isn't all the signs. All the signs would be neglecting her boyfriend, giving you looks, paying more attention to you, etc. Even with that, no, you shouldn't go for it because it's your brother's girlfriend. Never put a relationship between family like that, especially with family you're mildly close to. I can assure you she's not the easiest person in the world to talk to, and there are others." User Cock47 said, "She is not interested in you romantically. If you make a pass at her, you will just ruin the relationship between you and your brother. It's not worth it, and frankly, you sound full of yourself to think you can just go after your brother's girlfriend like she is some prize. You think you are better than your brother and put him down, so you believe you deserve the girl. But look at it from the girlfriend's angle. She probably feels sorry for you because you live with your grandma and your best friend is a girl. You sound like a loser." Update: my brother is C and his girlfriend is S. So against Reddit's and my better judgment, I spoke to my brother. As you can imagine, all hell broke loose. The guilt was eating me up, and I told him about the feelings I had for his girlfriend. I also came clean about looking at her nudes and apologized profusely. This was about 3 hours ago. My brother punched me in the face and busted my lip. He went to our grandma and told her that he didn't feel comfortable with me in the house. My poor grandma was so confused, and C told her vaguely that I acted inappropriately with S and violated her boundaries. He went into S's room and asked her to pack her things so they could leave and find a hotel to stay in. All I could hear was her saying, "What? Why? What's wrong?" He took her and left to stay in Atlanta, promising my grandma he'd call and explain when he got there. He just called via her landline and they will be getting lunch tomorrow. I received a text from S about a half hour ago. Here it is. Honestly, this is ridiculous that I even have to say this. You violated C's trust and my trust. The pics weren't meant for your eyes. I love your brother, not you. It's never gonna happen. You've ruined any possible friendship we could have. I am not angry, but I can't forgive this, and I believe you need therapy. Good luck, OP. I hope you get the help you need. I am sitting here bawling in bed while my grandma knocks on the door to ask what's wrong. Reddit, what do I do? What are the steps to take to fix things with my brother? How do I apologize to S? What do I tell my poor grandmother? Thanks in advance. I should have listened to your advice. User Omnipotent Darkness said, "You kind of deserve it. A lot of Redditors suggested you back off, keep your boundaries, respect everyone else's, and stop overanalyzing normal situations. You messed things up. Apologize for it and move on. Don't make any advances or convince yourself that you have a chance with your brother's girlfriend." Her response was very mature compared to what you've done to start this shitstorm and how you've acted afterward. To be honest, just stay away from them after apologizing unless they decide to speak to you. User Farah Wasted said, "From your first post, it sounds like she was just being nice to you and you messed it up. She's dating him, not you. You had it coming, dude." This final post was made in the same subreddit by a user named Minimum Elk. The post is titled, "I lost the trust of my fiance after she confessed something really shocking to me in bed. How do I move forward?" So it's the morning hours where I'm from. I woke up to some quality time with my fiance before we started our day. After everything came to an end, we laid down cuddling and one thing led to another. She was telling me something along the lines of if I ever left her, she would make sure the other woman had to work really hard to keep me, which was unusual and funny. But I guess when the sex is that good, you tend to get a little crazy. I don't know how the conversation came up, but then she said, "I have a confession to make." And I was like, okay, while holding a smile on my face. That's when she said, and I quote, "We had a fight. It was to the point that I was so frustrated that when I went to make you dinner, I snuck something into your tea that makes you sleep. I was watching you fight that sleep. Your eyes were so red. When you actually went to sleep, I sat down and watched you as I contemplated what to do about us. So many thoughts were going through my mind while I watched you sleep for a few hours, and eventually I got tired and just went to bed." End quote. The fear in my eyes was real as I listened to my fiancé admit to being a psychopath and drugging me while she contemplated a way forward. I know for a fact that I don't trust this woman anymore, and now I'm even more scared to sleep with her or eat anything she prepares, all because we had an argument over her not doing what was right. We haven't spoken for the entire day after that confession, even after she's made several attempts to talk. I'm afraid to even go to my friends, knowing they'll just laugh and say it's probably nothing and tell me to relax. User KillMainHam said, run. To this comment, user Doubtful Guest said, OP, I don't even understand what your dilemma is. Your fiancé drugged you and you're terrified of being around her. What the hell else would you do but leave? Just use your basic common sense. User Urinal Darren said, well, you need to protect yourself first and foremost. Obviously, the relationship is over and you need to ensure your physical safety while sorting things out, like who gets what and who lives where. Handle those discussions over text or phone calls. Do not be in the same vicinity as her anymore, starting now. Also, document everything you do and where you are, 24/7. People like her have been known to fabricate false charges with the police. To this user, Felicia Liu said, OP should call and record or text her, saying he needs more information because he loves her but is confused. He should do this before letting her know it's over, even if he has to pretend everything is fine and that he doesn't want to lose her. He could save the next guy's life. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.